Good morning students, welcome to your English class. Hope you all are fine at home. Students, today we are going to discuss a new chapter, that is Silk Road, written by Nick Middleton. It is very interesting chapter. Actually it is a travelogue written by Nick. So in this chapter, Silk Road, the title, it means that a trade route that is linked China to the best part of the world. While traveling from Lhasa to Darchen, the author followed almost the same route. So now let's see how he developed his journey through this video.
Ravo is a place where Nick Middleton started his journey for the Kora. Lama was a local girl there who said goodbye to him and actually gave him a gift for the Kora. Because Mount Kailash obviously is a very cold place, so she gave him a drogba, which is a long sleeve-shaped skin coat so as to keep him warm during his journey. Then with him went Setan, who was his driver, plus Daniel, who was a co-passenger and he was returning to Lhasa. So our journey started with goodbyes to Lamo and we go further. On the way to the mountains, he saw gazelles. Gazelles are one of those creatures who are very shy, who do not really like to mingle with people. So when they see anyone else, they generally run away. That is exactly what happens. And when he goes further along, they saw Kayang, which were the wild asses who were galloping and creating a lot of dust. They even saw shepherds on their way, who were called drogbas. And they even happened to see the tents of the nomads, who had a special breed of a dog which is called Tibetan Mastiff, which are ferocious and were not even intimidated by them. They were rather ready to attack them. Even Setan had to swerve the car many times in order to save them. As we go further along, the climb becomes steeper, and as they reach the higher altitudes, Nick Middleton started feeling its effect and felt the pressure building in his ears. They drove to a place where rocks were placed in a manner as if to mark a memorial. So as is a traditional practice, they stopped there. They took turn around that memorial. Then they had a lunch inside a tent which had a dry salt lake near it. Labor was at work. They were collecting salt, throwing it in the trucks, and the trucks were carrying them away. By late afternoon, they reached Hor, where Nick Middleton saw really a grim, miserable place, no vegetation, and he really felt very sad to look at this place. For once, the town was at the shore of Lake Mansarovar, and it's considered a source of four great Indian rivers, the Indus, the Ganges, the Satluj, and the Brahmaputra. And even he had read earlier accounts of travelers as to how beautiful the place was and how much it had managed to impress upon them. Like a Japanese monk, Ikai Kawaguchi had really burst into tears because of the enormity of the thing and the beauty of it. Even Sven Hedin had felt the similar effect. And he was also in tears when he had seen Mansarovar. Now to see such a contrasting image of what he had seen earlier, it felt sad. So they went on further and on the old trade route, which was known as the Silk Road, which was earlier used for trade between India and China in olden days, and which is from Lhasa to Kashmir, Daniel got down here as he had to go to Lhasa, and Setan had to get the puncture repaired. So he rather had to wait. The author had no choice but to wait at this time. Then after the puncture was repaired and he had had a coffee, they left for Drachan and reached there by night. Now the author could hardly sleep at night. He was quite restless because he had actually caught cold and the high altitude was taking its effect on him. So he could hardly lie down. Whenever he lay down, he felt he's going to pass out totally and won't be able to get up in the morning. The fear was really building in him. So next day, he told Setan about it, and Setan took him to a monastery where he could meet a Tibetan doctor. Now, the Tibetan doctor wasn't unlike quite any other doctor because there was no paraphernalia of a doctor, like you would have the coat or the stethoscope or something. Nothing like that was there. So, this Tibetan doctor gave him some pellets and he recovered soon. In Drachan, he saw a town which is very relaxed, and the pace of things there was very slow. He saw some general stores selling cigarettes, soap, and some basic provision. Men were playing pool, and women were washing their hair in the icy cold water. And he was told that actually he had come a little earlier than the pilgrimage season, because when the pilgrimage season was at its peak, then the whole town was bustling and there were tents put up everywhere. People had to be accommodated, but right now it was a little earlier than when the season started. So he was sitting in a cafe and trying to think positive as to how he would do his Kora and how he was to carry out the journey all the way. But it is at this time that he manages to meet Norbu. Norbu is a guy who had been writing academic papers about Kailash Kora and its importance. So he wanted to do one, and Nick was happy to have him as his partner. But soon realized there were some problems. For once, that this guy Norbu was fat and almost as ill-equipped as him. Norbu decided they would hire yaks to carry the luggage because he was too fat to carry it and he could not possibly. And Nick also felt it would be great only if they could go together, because he did not feel that he would be just with those guys who are actually religious, and he just wanted to do Kora to understand the significance of it. I hope you've understood this chapter.